Good day everybody. I'm a solo walker and I walk in the Brecon Beacons, which is a mountain range in South Wales in the UK. They can be quite treacherous. You can get 4 seasons of weather in one day, and just to give you an idea, the British Army use the beacons for Special Forces selection, so they're a tough place to walk. Two biggest dangers of walking in the hills really are hypothermia and an injury. Hypothermia you can pretty much avoid by carrying the correct gear. But if you have an injury, then not a lot you can do about that. Just avoid doing something foolish. But as the expression goes, shit happens. So really this little video I'm going to do today is about carrying the right equipment for safety and for comfort in the mountains. Well, starting with the basics, let's start with planning. Before I go out for a walk in the mountains, first thing I do is look at the mountain weather forecast and make a judgment whether it's safe to go. If it's snowing, my own personal preference is I stay at home. I don't feel that my level of skill is enough to walk in the mountains in the snow, but I check out things like the rain and the wind, and that can sort of give me an idea what equipment I need to take. Second thing I need to do is leave my route and a copy of the map with a trusted person, in my case my wife. And what I tend to do then is when I'm at the top of a mountain, I send her by text the name of the mountain that I'm on, so then she's got a location and a time, God forbid, if the rescue services ever needed to be called. We're lucky here in the UK that most of the island is actually covered, or Great Britain I should say, that most of the island is actually covered with a good mobile coverage. You might not get one in a valley, but on the top of a mountain I can nearly always get a mobile signal. Next thing I want to look at is actually calling for help. So if you are in some sort of an emergency, how to attract the rescue people to get you out of the situation. The first simple thing to do is actually carry a whistle. The international distress signal on the mountains in the UK and Europe is 6 blasts on a whistle at 1-minute intervals. So I normally carry a whistle around my neck, and I've also got one moulded into one of the fittings on my rucksack. I believe in the States it's 3 blasts, but perhaps you'd be kind enough to let me know in the comments if I'm right or wrong there. Next thing to do is carry a torch. So if you're out at night, same principle applies. It's 6 flashes on a torch every minute. So I usually carry a small bright LED torch and a head torch. If I'm out, I'll show you the head torch now. It's made by Petzl, who are pretty universal. If I'm ever out at night on the mountains, which I don't plan to be, with that gives me the ability to still actually make some progress or helps me set up a camp. I want to talk about mobile phones. I think you should always carry a mobile. Before you go on a mountain, make sure it's fully charged, and as a backup I always take one of these power packs just in case I do need to charge it. If you need to contact the emergency authorities in the United Kingdom, the number to dial is 999 and ask for the police and mountain rescue. Now that brings me on to navigation, but I'll start with the simple stuff first. Map and compass. Absolutely essential that you take a map onto the hills, because the visibility can go from very clear down to nothing in minutes in this part of the world. I tend to use the Ordnance Survey maps at the 1 to 25,000 scale. The bigger the scale, the better. I'm not sure what the authorities are in your country, if you're watching from somewhere else, but in the UK, Ordnance Survey make the definitive maps. Know how to use the map. Know how to find a grid reference on this so you can locate yourself or pass that information on to somebody else. Learn how to read the contour lines and how to orient the map with respect to north. Now in terms of finding north, you need a compass, and again learn how to use it. The preferred type of compass for hill walking is this type, the protractor compass. These are usually made by a company called Silver or Sunto, which we tend to use in the UK. Now in addition to that, I take a hand-bearing sighting compass. This is a Plastimo Iris 50, which is used for taking a sight on a known object in the distance, and I personally think this is far more accurate than the protractor type of compass. This is a sailor's compass, so it would be available from yacht chandlers. Now of course, knowing how to use a map and compass is an essential skill on the hills, but these days a lot of the hard work can be taken up by using a mobile phone. And in the UK, Ordnance Survey actually do an app which you can buy a paper-based map, and that gives you a code where you can download an electronic map for your phone. And that app gives you your location and a picture of the map, which is brilliant as a backup. So practice the old way using your compass and your paper map, but you can confirm your position by using the mobile. But of course, in real life, a mobile can have a flat battery, it can fail, or it can get wet and not work. Ordnance Survey also do another app called OS Locate, and that turns your phone into a compass and gives you a 6-figure grid reference, which is a great tool if you need to pass that on to the emergency services in the event of a problem. Another thing I carry is a GPS, a global positioning system. This one here, this is made by Garmin, and I programmed this to display my location in the British Ordnance Survey grid reference. You can also program it to display in latitude or longitude if you're at sea. That's how sailors tend to navigate. 2021 price for this is £85, which personally I think is an absolute bargain. When these things first came out 20-30 years ago, they cost an awful lot of money, and now they're under £100 or $100. I've also got one of these. This is an emergency positioning indicating radio beacon, which is a bit of a mouthful, so it's known as an EPIRB for short. These tend to be used by sailors, which I am a yachtsman, so I've got one of these. They cost around £200 in the UK. Not everybody would take one of these on the hill, but it's a fantastic tool. So wherever you are on the planet, if you activate this, it sends a signal up to the satellites, which can initiate a rescue. Now in the UK, you need to register this with the Coast Guard, and you would supply the Coast Guard with the name of your vessel if you're a boat, or if you're using it on the hills. So in the event of it going off, each one's got a unique serial number. They know who you are. So absolutely fantastic little device. The batteries in them are meant to last around 5 years. I've had this, I think, 7 years, and the battery is still going strong. As I mentioned before, hypothermia is a big danger on the mountain, so it's very important to carry the right clothing. Leave any cotton at home. So denim is a no-no on the mountain, and same with cotton underwear. I wear a base layer, usually made of polypropylene. Helly Hansen leafers are very, very good. They don't absorb water, being a man-made fabric, so they dry very, very quickly and they keep you warm. For the mid layer, I tend to wear, again, a polypropylene fleece, but I avoid the fleeces that have got cotton cuffs because they stay wet and take a long time to dry out. So make sure the fleece goes right the way down to the cuff. And then as a top layer, I usually wear a breathable, waterproof, windproof jacket. On my legs, I tend to wear man-made fabric trousers which dry quickly, and I also carry waterproof over trousers if it rains. And when it gets a little bit colder, I've actually got some trousers which are designed also to be waterproof, so they're quite comfortable to wear and they're quite warm on your legs. In terms of footwear, I wouldn't wear shoes or boots. Shoes or trainers. I would always wear boots into the mountains. Something with a good sole like Vibram, and also preferably boots that are waterproof. The other thing I carry is a warm hat and gloves. In the summer, I might not wear these, but in the event of a problem on the mountain, you need an extended stay up on the hills. A hat and gloves really keeps the heat in your body, preventing the onset of hypothermia. So pretty important things to carry. They're always in my rucksack, whatever time of year. The last item I'd recommend is a down jacket. Now they've come down in price and you can buy one anywhere from £30 upwards. The great thing about down, it's a really, really good insulator. It weighs next to nothing and it folds down to next to nothing to stick in your pocket or your rucksack. The downside of it is that, no pun intended, the downside of down is that if it's wet, it doesn't insulate. So either wear it in dry conditions if you're cold or if you're in a shelter. Then bringing us on to shelters, if you do need to stay on the mountain or protect yourself from the weather, the best thing that I've found in recent years is a thing called a bothy bag. They're around £25 for the 2-man bothy bag. It's basically like an instant tent. I'll show you a picture. You sit in this little instant tent or bothy bag, and that protects you from the wind and the rain, and the moment you sit in it, the temperature will go up and it will increase by quite a few degrees. So it's great in the event of an emergency, but I also use mine when the weather is pretty appalling and I feel like having a sandwich or plotting a course on the map. I get the thing out and in seconds I'm inside this, sheltered from the weather outside, which can be like hell on earth, and it's a comfortable little place to get yourself motivated, if you like, and back on course before you set off on your walk. When I was a kid, we used to carry a large orange polythene bag as an emergency in the hills. They have been largely superseded by the bothy bag. You can still buy them, but to be honest, for £25, get a bothy bag. I wouldn't bother with the polythene bag. It's nowhere near as practical or as efficient. The other thing I carry on the mountain sometimes is a 3 metre by 3 metre tarp. Mine is made by DD Tarps, who seem to be pretty universal around the world. Using one of my walking poles, it's very, very easy to turn the tarp into a tent as a shelter. Now, not just in the emergency, I tend to use these if I'm setting up the stove and cooking my lunch as well. Always carry walking poles. I always carry walking poles because I find it's far less strain on your knees, and they make you far more stable walking down a steep incline, which reduces the chances of having an accident. The other important thing to take is food. Food is fuel. It keeps you warm from the inside, which again helps the onset of hypothermia. I tend to take food that doesn't need heating up, something you can eat cold. Now, you can buy ready meals in outdoor shops, which don't taste too nice, but you can eat them cold or hot. The other thing I tend to take are pasta meals. I eat those cold, saves me setting up the cooker on the side of a mountain. And when I'm walking along, I tend to take things like cashew nuts or chocolate raisins, which give me energy just as I'm snacking and walking along. Also, I take water. I take usually a litre of water if I'm going on a walk, and I take them in plastic mineral water bottles. I used to use metal bottles made of alloy, but I found the plastic ones are a few grams lighter, and all the things you carry, obviously the weight adds up. The other thing I take is a thing called a Sawyer water filter. The Sawyer water filter enables me to drink water even from a dirty puddle, and it comes through the filter and it's pure and clean. And the technology for the filter comes from the medical world, from kidney dialysis machines. I can't remember how much the water filter is, but there's quite a few makes on the internet, worth a look, but it wasn't that expensive, and it's good for something like 100,000 litres, more than I'll ever use in my life. So a good little accessory to take, because it means you can drink water from anywhere. Now, in terms of carrying it all, I use a rucksack, and I think the ideal size for a day walk is around 35 litres. My own personal rucksack is 35 litres, but it can expand to 45 litres, so if necessary I can have a minimalist camp out on the mountains or in the country. It's enough to squeeze a sleeping bag in there as well. So I hope the video was useful to you. If it was, then please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And I'm guessing wherever you are in the world, we've got quite a lot of common things we need to take. We always need water, we always need food, we always need shelter, whether you're in a hot desert or you're deep in the snow. So I'm sure some of the requirements that I've talked about will vary depending on where you live. And if you've got any top tips, please feel free to share them in the comments section. So thanks a lot. See you next time. Bye-bye.